We are back here on Sound Off with myself, Chris Coates. Forrest is sitting in with me today here on AM 1290 and FM 107.5 and WKVKradio.com. Thanks for joining us this morning. Call us with your comments, your questions, your thoughts at 357-1290. As I said before, we have candidates on today. You're more than welcome to call in and ask them questions. I'm not looking for statements. I'm looking more for questions that you may have with the candidates. If you hear something that is intriguing to you, you want to know more information, or if you just totally disagree with them, you call in. So you can also follow along on Facebook with your messages and posts. So joining us now is Conan Salada. Salada. I had it in my head. I had it spread out here. But good morning.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. What we've been doing is, first and foremost, you have a little bit to tell about the audience to who you are, why, so they get to know you a little bit better.
My name is Conan Salada. Rhymes with holiday. Every day is a solid day.
Yeah.
I am 38 years old. I've lived in Keene for almost 6 years now. I work at home as an online reseller. And after an 11-year hiatus, I just started this month back with the post office. So I'm a rural carrier, part-time. Mm-hmm. But my main bread and butter is, of course, online resale. I sell a lot of books online. And so with the coming of the e-books and whatnot, a lot have felt that the book reading would have been thrown out the window. But no, it's still good and strong, and I'm doing well.
Yeah, well, that's how we sort of crossed paths there, because we hosted the Keene Public Library's book sale, and it was a great success. I think they raised over $12,000.
That's the truth.
And so.
Yeah, I got 2 big old monster bags on fill-a-bag day.
Yeah.
I always hit that up and go through one last time to make sure that there's nothing that got left behind. And I did find a couple winners, so
that's good.
Good that I went.
So, all right. Why run? Why? What's pushing you to take this step?
Well, I'm running again.
Yeah.
I think you're well aware. I've tried state rep and a school board. I won't be doing school board again, but state rep and by the way, I can't run state rep anymore.
Why?
Hatch Act. I'm a quasi-fed.
Yeah.
And that's very disappointing, because this year we got Libertarian on the ticket.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking forward to running as one, finally, not having to pick or choose one side or the other, side of this coin that and because I am a Libertarian, and I'm proud to say so. But I've run a couple of times. I'm back. I still consider myself pretty young. Mm-hmm. I consider that this is the economy that we live in is something that I am inheriting. It's become my responsibility to step up to the plate and make sure that the right decisions are made, and that that I leave a stable, sustainable economy for my children. Right now, my daughter, she's 20. She stayed in Keene for a little while. She's lived in Manchester for a little while. She decided she'd go to Vermont. So she's over in Bernieville, Vermont right now, having a good old time. I'd like to Burlington.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bernieville.
Well, no, they've got some funky towns over there. So I didn't know if that was all right. So Burlington. Okay, that's a fun city, actually.
Yeah, she's having a good old time over there.
Yeah.
But no, I'd like to have her come back one day, maybe, after she's, gotten me out of her system and, gotten the world in her, lived in the world and experienced, all of the hardships and all of the good things, the happy things that, that come with life. And maybe one day she'll be like, I can go settle down in the same town as my dad. But, I spoke about the sustainability. And I have serious issues with some of the decision making that's going on, not just in this town or this state, but the entire country. We've gotten to a point where we can't just keep going up. We have to cut and decide. We can't have everything. There is we can't take care of everybody. We can't fix everything. And when I say we, I mean government. I think it's come to a point where people have become so dependent on these entitlements and these services that they have forgotten how to take care of themselves. And I really want to go back to a point where, and you and Chris were just talking about how reliant Keene is. Well, compared to some places, yes, but I see a lot of reliance on the services that we're all having to pay for and not necessarily using. I want to go to a place where you pay for what you get.
Yeah.
And I think that all right, so 2 weeks ago, Parcells was on talking about if I was king for a day.
Yeah.
If I was king for a day, I would change how we pay for things. Instead of through taxation, which I believe is theft, we would pay via user fees. If you use a thing, you pay for it. If you use the ice rink, you pay for it. If you use the
fire department,
exactly. Now there are some things that, like the fire department, like the police, like the roads. There are some things that are low on my radar, and there's some things that are way up there. And it's like, hey, I don't use the airport. I understand how important it is. I understand that CNS needs that facility. It makes Keene an attractive place. I understand that, but it's not necessary that we pay for it. Me as an individual, I think that the guys who are parking their planes there should be paying for it. I think CNS, and they're renting those hangars, but they need to step up, and I think they need to. And by the way, and it's probably not the best example because the airport does. It's not the worst on this list. It actually does bring in a lot of revenue.
He does have a list. But all right. So as a city councilor, with that, so talk to me about, let's dive into this a little bit more. What other areas would it be that you would see that you would work with other councilors to make some changes with? Well,
being a no vote, that's gonna usually councilor gets up there and votes no, and they usually don't. They always usually vote in lockstep. But usually it's customary that if you're going to vote no, you're going to explain yourself. So every time I'd be vote no, which would be every time pretty much.
It's a lost practice.
I'd be explaining myself, and the people at home are going to be watching on TV. I watch all those meetings. It's hard work, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they split it up into 3 different groups, because we're trying to watch them all, and some of them do. I know the mayor has to watch them all.
Yeah.
It's a hard chore, but I'm willing to do it. But being the no vote and explaining myself every single time. Well, why don't you want to vote lockstep with the rest of us? Well, because this is something I don't agree with. This is something I think that this organization who is lobbying us for more city money, I think this is something they should take care of on their own. Look how much money they've already raised. Why do we have to pitch in another 20,000? I mean, they've done such a great job already. They can do it. The people will step forward. And you know what? And when it all boils down to breaking down, lowering the tax rate, you put that money back in the pockets of the people, or they don't actually give it out in the first place. They're going to have extra money to donate to charities that they feel will better help this community. They're going to put it in organizations that they feel we need, because at the end of the day, if it's a good idea, if it's a good department, people are going to pay for it. You don't have to force us. You don't have to force me to pay for the library. I will gladly become a member of the library and become a donor. I'm a book guy. I grew up in the library. That's something that I respect. You don't have to take $1.4 million forcefully from the people every year to pay for the library. And look how much money they just raised. You don't tell me that there aren't charitable people out there that will make that department thrive. You don't have to take the money. People are there willing to give it, willing to make that department shine.
But in some levels, that's what you're saying is exactly what the library did, and some others are doing. I mean, they needed to look to the future. They needed to do renovations. And
did they need to? I think this is
I think technology-wise, I would say that they probably did to keep pace with what the community needs are on some levels. So they went out and they raised a big portion of the money. Now I know that city did put a portion into it, but if
about $2 million, that we'd be paying for the next 20 years.
But had they gone forward and done it on their own, it would have been.
Well, and I have such big issues with the way that money. New market tax credits, total scam. TIF district, total scam. It's a legal slush fund for the city. So what do they raise on through charitable donations? Like close to $5 million, something in that neighborhood.
I think it's a little higher than that, actually.
But the problem I have, especially when it comes to city spending, when it's not, say, filtering, making spending decisions, buying new vehicles for their company and whatnot. When it comes to the public sector, they're just whatever contractor comes down, he says it's 14 million, maybe another one says it's 15. Yeah, 14 sounds good to us. And it's like, well, hold on now. Think about how much, what are we talking about? Think about wrap your head around that much money. We're talking about an addition. We're talking basically putting two buildings together. Does it really cost $14 million to do that? Think about some of these bridges that have gone up in the past couple of years, the north and the south bridges, 2.3 million, 1.5 million. That's a lot of money. Think about how many homes you could have bought or how many roads you could have fixed with that much money. But the city isn't thinking about saving money because it's not their business. It's just their Sim City. It's their grand episode of Sim City, and they get to go and decide, hey, I've got a couple of sign ideas that I want to put downtown.
Don't talk about signs.
Check out on Maple Avenue a couple of months back.
Yeah.
We're doing good on the signs out there, and they just put these huge billboard bicycle crossing or bicycle passing signs.
I saw them the other day.
And it's like, so you have three options. You have 35 miles an hour, you got to be this far away. 45, you got to be this far away, and then it's 55. And it's like, it's only 35 forever. There is no 45, there is no 55. So you could have saved half the sign, half that space, if you had just thought about this.
Yeah.
And they're horrible black and orange, and just.
Well, let's keep moving on. Let's talk about business in the city of Keene, and as your role on the city council, how would you support bringing new businesses into the city? Is it that you'd work with the code enforcement to make it easier for companies to come into the city of Keene? And I mean, what would be your role? Because we have companies. We're struggling with staffing, with skilled workforce. What would be your role in that?
First and foremost, I would get out of the way, and I would make every possible attempt to reduce any hardships that these businesses have to go through in order to get in here. Regulations. We were just talking about signs. The stupid sign ordinance is like 80 pages or something, and it's monstrous. It's of things you can and cannot do, and the size of the signs that you have to have. But no, get out of their way. And of course, the big one on my list is the tax rate. You really want to get folks in here. You don't make a special district where they have a tax incentive for like 5 years. You create that tax incentive for everybody all the time, and the people will come. The businesses will come. And as far as staffing is concerned, and not every business is having this problem. You will have issues where, say, like me, for example, I'm not working at the bookstore. I am the bookstore. I work at my house. I've decided that I'm going to move. I'm going to change with the times. I have less overhead. I could serve a huge portion of this country, offering my services. So I mean, you're going to have companies who are going to have to change. You're also going when you do start to run into some of these companies who are having staffing problems, you're going to have CNS actually going right to the high school, providing internships because they figured it out. Hey, we've got to do something. More and more companies are going to step up and they're going to figure it out for themselves. I don't think this is something that we necessarily as government should start trying to provide, because then we're going to become a service to these companies. They're going to become reliant on our services. And if we don't provide, they're going to get mad at us, or they're going to, for whatever reason. No, this is something they need to work on. And I think
the problem with that is that other places are working on it, and they're going
to run out of money, just like we're going to run out of money.
My concern is that if you leave it up to some companies may take advantage of that. CNS may be one of those. Filtrine may be one of those. But if not every, then those are locally owned, and my concern is those that are nationally owned will say, well, let's just pull it and put it down in our plant here or there, and so there's got to be some level of partnership. I don't mean you to staff it. But I say we look at regulations and see where those stand. We look at what we can do.
If that's just there are that is one attractant, but there are so many things that we can do that will make Keene attractive to companies either staying here or coming here in the first place. And
What do we do about energy cost? Because it's one of the highest in the country and one of the highest out of all New England states.
I buy my energy. It's going through EverSource, but I think it's somewhere in Illinois or something. Mm-hmm. I've already figured out how to get cheaper energy for myself. Mm-hmm. I don't think a lot of people are that even know that they could shop around. But I don't know. I know I'm a big supporter of competition. Mm-hmm. I would want to see, the competitive forces out there and whether there is another option. Because usually if there's another option, someone's going to sell it, going to want to sell it cheaper, mm-hmm. simply so that you're buying from them and you're not buying from their competitors. Yeah. I really don't know the answer to that one.
How about broadband?
Who is having problems with broadband? Is it just Main Street?
No,
I mean, I don't have broadband problems at my house. I don't need 250 megabytes download speed. I think I'm up to 80 right now. 80 is fine. I can have 3 computers running all at the same time in the house. Everyone's streaming something, and I'm working on the downstairs computer. I don't have a broadband problem. My question is, what businesses are actually having problems?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the whole idea, the whole concept of preparing, because we're going to want faster, internet in the future, and I understand preparing infrastructure to be ready to go whenever that option becomes available. But I don't know that there's a problem. I want to talk to these companies that are actually having issues, because I know that if they're CNS, they don't have an issue. They have it going straight to their offices. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about old infrastructure on Main Street, that is another conversation that maybe we can get into about how I think that the downtown and this city is downtown business crazy, mm-hmm. With the signs and with the TIF districts and the whatnot. So basically, we as taxpayers are subsidizing everything that's going on downtown, even if we never go down there. I drive around downtown. The only time I ever go down there is to pay my water bill, mm-hmm. because I still can't pay it online because they want a 3% charge, and I'm not going to pay them that. So I go downtown, and of course, city hall meetings and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I really think, and this goes into what you guys were just talking about the welcoming package. Mm-hmm. It's not our job. It's the Keene Chamber of Commerce's job. It's the businesses. They need to, and if a Keene Chamber is doing it for them, they need to start a downtown business coalition. They need to get together and say, hey, look, what do we need to bring customers to our stores? What do we need to is this road too skinny or it's not big enough for people to actually go through? They need to get together and decide, as business owners, as property owners downtown, what they need done, and they need to pay for it. And if they need to raise prices in their stores in order to pay for those improvements, then so be it. But I mean, I live in North Keene. We have our own development going on up there, and places that I could shop at. West Keene, there's not a whole lot of development out there, but some things have moved out there. But when you think about how much money, how much revenue the downtown brings to Keene, yeah, it's like $3.5 million of tax revenue out of all of our school, county, mm-hmm. City. We're talking a $65 million budget. Downtown is providing $3 million or $3.5 million. Now I understand the downtown is the gateway. That's the first thing everyone sees. It's beautiful. Well, with this, maybe they could get rid of some signs. I haven't seen these green strips yet. But I mean, there are other companies in Keene. There are 23,000 people in Keene. We aren't Keene downtown. There's a lot more going on. Mm-hmm. So when you consider how much money goes to subsidize that district, I think that maybe we should spread it out a little bit and stop making so much of a fuss around Keene State and the downtown district.
So does Keene State play a role in the vibrance of the city? I like to look at all of the indirect costs of things. Mm-hmm. So Keene, $110 million budget. Half of that is going to salaries. Right. So they're putting $50 million right out into the economy. But the unseen, and of course the kids live here, they rent, they buy things here. But the unforeseen are Keene State doesn't pay property tax. Mm-hmm. Keene State gets state money. Mm-hmm. They get federal money.
The students are getting federal aid. And here's the big one that no one ever thinks about. The average student debt out of Keene State is $38,000 per kid that they're paying for the next 10, 15 years. Money that they could have put into a brand new vehicle and a down payment on a house with their underwater basket weaving degree. Now, here's what I would really want to see from Keene State. I want to see how many of their graduates are actually going out, getting jobs, getting good jobs worthy of their degree, in the same degree, but if it's a equally worthy, similar degree, I would want to see that. Or are they just going home to live at their mom's house in their basement for the next 10 years, paying off $38,000 of student debt?
Yeah, there was a study that just came out that ranked Keene in the top 20 in liberal arts colleges around
liberal arts and teaching. Meanwhile, River Valley's right there, and I mean you look at their course. I mean, it's everything they offer is going to get you a job. You can walk right into anything after a 2-year associate's degree.
Keene State actually is getting more known for its safety program than it is. I mean, it's always going to be the teacher college, and their media is actually something that's grown in the last few years. But their safety is something that's one of the top programs in the country. So. But
so back to the Keene State. If you really look at it, are we actually getting our money's back?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that they're probably spitting out some good folks that are going and getting good jobs.
Yeah.
And actually giving back to society, giving back to their communities. But in the long run, no. I'm going to say that it's a debt maker. It's just making indebted students who are going back to live with their parents and going to work at the coffee stop.
So no one should go to college because...
No. I think I want more options. I want more Is it River Valley community?
Yeah.
I want more of... I want Keene State to keep sucking, because I want River Valley to step in and offer an alternative, actual majors, actual associate degrees that actually are meaningful. And I want them to become the new option for a fraction of the cost of what you would have to pay at Keene State.
Credit-wise, yeah.
Credit-wise, yeah. It's like I was just looking it up. It can't be more than $300 per credit.
I can't remember, but I knew it at one point. All
but
right.
yeah, this is my free market option. Let Keene State keep sucking. And they are. Look at their student population. It's going down.
Yeah, it's at 3,800, and it was at 5,000. Yeah. So here's the thing. How do you? I don't see your voice as a no vote. I see it as an alternative voice, and that's how I used to see others that would have a difference of an opinion. And
the reason I'm a no voice is because my option is never available. Yeah. You look at these surveys that are going around now. There is no option for no. It's all we've already decided all these things. Yeah. Which one do you like best? And by the way,
my point
they're
is
implementing them anyways.
How do you build a coalition off an alternative voice? And that's what. But we've run out of time. I'm going to thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break here on Sound Off. Call us with your comments and questions at 357-1290. Sound Off. We'll be right back.